I'm Mike Hatcher.
Hey folks, it's Ernie Pack.
I am Natalie Jones.
What's up everybody, my name's Matt Warner.
Hey, I'm G-Man. You know what, I'm George Shotwin, I'm anybody you want me to be, but you know what, there's one thing I am. I'm part of the para movement. That's right, feel it. Oh, feel it.
My name is Melody Knapp and I am part of the para movement.
It's April, the Psychic Housewife from New Jersey, and I am part of the para movement.
Hashtag the para movement.
And I am part of the para movement.
And I'm part of the para movement.
I'm Sophia Tambrelli, and I'm part of the para movement.
Just wanted to talk real quick about the para movement that's going on in the world. It's all about para unity. It's about para family. It's about diversity like you'll see nowhere else. In the paranormal community, we got folks of all races, religions, sexual orientations, political beliefs, you name it. And we're spreading positivity, good vibes everywhere. So, hashtag the para movement. Join it, be a part of it, and everybody have a great day. Take care.
Why did you let him kill me? It was the clown.
You're listening to Animal Paranormal Live, where we talk about all things paranormal. And now, here's your host, the Animal.
Are you ready?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Happy Monday. This is the Animal at Animal Live. Today, I'm taking a total 180 spin on the show tonight. I do not have any paranormal guests on tonight. I'm sorry, but tonight's a special night because I have a new documentary, Through Hell and Back, which will be coming out June 5th. I'm very excited about it. I will have a release party, so stay tuned for a whole bunch of announcements and a bunch of stuff coming to you pretty soon. But tonight's a different night. I want to definitely direct on something from my documentary on a very important subject where people are struggling in today's society, where ever since COVID, even before COVID, but COVID, didn't really help. But I really feel like I wanted to touch a subject because there's people that are hurting, people that are going through thoughts that, suicidal thoughts, because of, of a lost loved one, or, they just can't handle things right now, what's going on in the world today. But that's what we're here for tonight. And I want to share this video before we get on to our guests so they could tell their story. I don't want to really talk too much tonight because I want to let our guests speak their hearts out. Each guest will probably be talking about like 5 to 10 minutes of their stories, but I really want them to share their hearts so you can hear their stories, their backgrounds of their hell and back. So take a look at this video and check it out that I'm going to be playing here. It talks about suicide, and right after it, it's the 1-800 hotline if you are going through some issues. So here you go.
I am suicide. I take precious lives. I could be after someone you love. I could be after you. I work by turning your own thoughts against you. But I'm a liar and a cheat. I make you feel guilty or useless when you're not. I tell you things can never get better. They can. I tell you there's no point in taking a breath, asking for help. But there is. I tell you you're alone, and you're not. You can stop me, but you have to know how.
If you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, reach out for help. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. We're waiting for your call.
So please call that number, 1-800-273-TALK. It's a very important number. If you are going through some issues and you're in those thoughts of suicide, please call that number. It's very important. Life is important and very valuable. So definitely call it. It will help your life and save you. But I just want to say hey to a couple of people. Hey, Justin. Hey, Robert from Canada. Thank you, everybody, for joining Animal Paranormal Live. But I want to bring on my guest, one of my guests that just popped up here in the back room, Cheryl, and we're gonna be hearing her amazing story. Hey,
How's
it going, Cheryl? How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Josh. I'm doing well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for reaching me earlier. I know you were watching me on an interview with from What the Frick. So it's really cool to hear from you afterwards in your message, and really wanted to share your story. So I'm gonna leave it to you and just tell your story. You know what you've been through, your hell and back.
My hell and back began at the age of 10 years old, and that would have been 1970. I am 60 years of age, and I'm not afraid to share that. My hell and back only consisted of me having a near-death experience and then coming back with an incredible intuition, psychic abilities, whereas it was only a few months down the road after that happened that my very first vision included my brother, Pat. What I visioned was very clearly of him being in a casket. And it was while I was laying in bed at 10 years of age, playing with Barbie dolls. And I went, and got up and told my mom. I said, Mom, Pat's going to die. That was my brother, Patrick. And of course, naturally, she said, go back to bed. It's kind of normal to have nightmares about your own family dying. Well, it wasn't until January 23rd, I had turned 11. And the same night, on January 23rd, at exactly 1:23 in the morning, the police knocked on our home, and said that Patrick George Elliott, my brother, had committed suicide at 19.
Wow.
Looking back, leading up to that, we had noticed after the passing, after the funeral, that Pat had, he had given us signs. And what he had done was, every other area on his ceiling, he had hung people. He also had airplanes hanging. They did the guy thing back in the day where they would melt models and stick them together like they had an accident. Well, wow. He had done stuff like that too. The signs were also later on after the funeral. We found that number one, Pat had a note in his billfold that explained clearly that he was in love with a woman at that time in 19 in high school, right after high school, that she didn't want to have anything to do with him, and it was a major crush. She was very much in love with this woman, and it had been leading up to this breakup. And then, of course, my mom found out later that, you know, she had dumped him, and he had been going through a lot of depression and doing things that were like, Mom described it later years, that it was kind of like daredevil stuff, hoping, you know, to have an accident like on his Honda cycle, that he was always going too fast, always trying to find a reason for something to happen so that he could obviously end his life. However, how he ended up doing this was he had a bully at his job that constantly bullied him in his position at the Cornhusker Hotel in Lincoln, Nebraska. And understand, the building itself is gone. It had a 13th floor per se, and it was all nothing but linen. And Pat was a cook for the hotel, and he had chose to go up onto the 13th floor, and he hung himself with bed sheets on the 13th floor.
Wow.
Yeah, and when they found him hanging, you know, of course, the body is such dead weight that he was on his knees, and he had scratch marks. My other brother, Vance, and Mike was a twin to Pat. When they viewed the body to identify, you know, for my mom, that he had dug in here, like as if last minute change your mind, but it was too late. So, and then Mom also found out later years that Pat had like a dystrophy in his upper left arm. When he was younger, he had an accident on the monkey bars back in the day, and he had fallen, and Pat was thin, so he had a little bit of a heavier woman fall on him, and it paralyzed his arm, kind of like from here down, so like from the elbow to here. And a lot of things like proms and things that he wanted to do in high school, he could never get a date because he had this lame arm. And but Pat was very very intelligent. He signed up for the Army, was declined. His brother was Vance, and Mike, his twin. They were able to join the service. But the things that were incredible after all this was when we were burying Pat, my brother, who is his twin, which would be Mike, was standing at Patrick's grave, and he stood there for the longest time while we all waited for him. And he said that when he finally came back to, you know, get in the car to leave, he said that Pat said to tell all of us, and he heard it with his mind's eye, that he was sorry, but he was in too much pain. Now, twins do effectively communicate whether they're alive or dead. We all know that, the afterlife, and I'm very much into that and very well known for that. And when Mike got into the car, I looked up at Mike before he was getting into the car, kind of through the window, and I said to Mike, I heard him say that too. And Mike was like, what? So get this is two bizarre stories, and then I'll let you talk to somebody else. My sister, Cindy, everybody knows who I am in the family. I'm known for what I do. Cindy asked me 2 years ago to take her to Pat's grave. She wanted to hear from Pat. Okay, so I said, are you sure about that? Even though she's been on many ghost hunts and she knows, you know, I effectively communicate with the afterlife. And I said, are you sure you want to hear from Pat? She said, yeah. Well, while standing there, I called out several things that no, but she never told anybody. Like, for one, in Lincoln, Nebraska, there was a King's restaurant. Cindy worked as a waitress back in the day, like 1973. Pat came in, and he had spent that evening with Cindy and had her feed him, you know, bring food to him and such. And he left her a juicy fruit gum, part of the tip, and also a candy bar and $100 bill.
Wow.
And Cindy knew something was funky about that. That was the night before his death. Then he had made the rounds to everybody in the family. And that 2 days prior to doing all of that, he always, when we were in Fremont, Nebraska, and I was young, he would always let me ride his Honda cycle, even though it was 750 cc's. And Mom would get so mad because I was too young. I was only 11. And so, like a couple days before that, he took me out to a sand pit and he let me ride that sucker without Mom knowing. And that was 2 days before he died. He had gone around to everybody and done something special, for them. But paranormal wise, after the fact, Pat has come to us on many different levels, either through the scent of him or through effective communication, like over audio. We had done me, my sisters, and myself, we had done a brief investigations in a little town outside of Lincoln here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And it was called the Devil's Tracks. Long story short, a train wreck. Children were killed. So we wanted to go investigate. Well, ironically, my brother Pat came through clearly on an EVP session, and he identified himself as Patrick. He also said that he had lived there in that town, and Joni and Cindy were like, scratching their heads like they couldn't remember that. And then I captured him, and I have a photo of me reaching out, and I was talking to him, and the orb descends, and it's seriously this big around, descends from the sky, and he's just like almost in my hand as I'm talking to him, and it's all on EVP recording. So he did come through. I have that evidence that it, obviously was him. But then later we asked Mom, did Pat and Mike share an apartment in this little town called Denton, D-E-N-T, in Nebraska? And Mom said, yes, they did.
Wow. That's really interesting. That's wow. Huh. Man, I'm sorry for your loss. It's suicide is definitely a major deal, and especially, even for, because I have kids, and it's very, how can I say, very, gosh, it's like you want to just hold them and just not make them go anywhere, because kids in today's society, even before then, they get bullied. And now it's even worse because it's cyberbully, because they're getting bullied online. So it's even worse now. And it's so many young people today and just, committing suicide just because they're getting picked on, and it just blows my mind. And thank you for telling your story, Cheryl. That blew my mind, and I'm sorry for your loss. And it's not an easy thing, because that's something you'll never forget. It's pretty much scarred onto you, and that you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life. The thing is, the good part of it is, though, that you're better because of it. You lived through it, and now you're a better person, and you've got these abilities, and you're doing things and helping other people out. And that's what's amazing about this is, through this hell and back, you had to get through hell to get back to where you are today. So that's a really amazing story in itself, and I really commend you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And if you guys out there, who are listening, if you have a story, please click the link. I would love to hear your story. Please, I would love to hear it, because your message needs to be heard, because there's so many people hurting out there that need to hear your voice. So thank you, Cheryl, so much for coming on, and we'll definitely keep in touch and talk some more. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Josh. You have a great rest of your night, and I'm enjoying your show quite a bit.
Thank you so much for tuning in for Animal Paranormal Live. Well, I'm going to take you off here. You have a good night and be blessed.
Likewise. Take care.
You too. Well, thank you, Cheryl, so much for popping on. Thank you so much for her story. If you have not heard her story, please, once the show ends, replay it. It will be recorded. So it's amazing and it's heartbreaking, but we get through the hell and back because of those stories. But if you do have a story, please click on the link, the StreamYard link. We got probably about another, I would say almost a half an hour here. But would love to hear your story. I just wanted to share something with you a little bit of my life. I kind of had that little experience of suicide when I went through after my marriage. I'm a biker. I always collected my thoughts on riding every time I took a ride. And there was times where I wasn't happy, because of just tired. I wasn't happy. I just wanted not to be alive at that time, because I feel like I wasn't getting anything out of life. I was tired, I was worn out, and I just didn't want to deal with life, So, now I'm happy, because I've dealt through that. I fought it. I have an amazing family. I have amazing 2 children, 2 beautiful girls, and I'm very thankful that they're here, and I couldn't live without them because they're my amazing kids, and I love my wife to death. And and I just hope if you're going through some stuff in your life, please, please seek some help, because it'll be worth it. But I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to play that trailer again. If you're going through tough times, I'm going to play the suicide trailer again. Please call that hotline. If you are having some issues or going through hard times, please call this number after it. And we'll be right back right after it. And then we'll talk some more.
I am suicide. I take precious lives. I could be after someone you love. I could be after you. I work by turning your own thoughts against you. But I'm a liar and a cheat. I make you feel guilty or useless when you're not. I tell you things can never get better. They can. I tell you there's no point in taking a breath, asking for help. But there is. I tell you you're alone, and you're not. You can stop me, but you have to know how.
If you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, reach out for help. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. We're waiting for your call.
Again, that number is 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK. Yes, trust me, it will help out. Thank you so much for being on and hearing Cheryl's story. I'm sorry about this. I'm just answering messages of people just wanting to share. So please bear with me a little bit. If you got any questions for me or anything like that, please comment. Or if you want to join me, please click the link. I'm going to reshare it here. Give me a second. Let me reshare it. Hey, Keith. How's it going? Hey, Robert. All right. I do have a person that is actually part of my documentary. Her story is amazing. Right now she's at a paranormal investigation. She's actually going to try to come on live. So we're going to try to get her on. If it all depends on her Wi-Fi, so we'll see. Hopefully she could get through where she's at, the signal, because her story, man, it's intense. And wait till you, well, hold on, that's actually her. Wait till you hear her story, especially on my new documentary Through Hell and Back, June 5th. Don't want to miss it. Her story is intense. It's raw and it's real, and it's something that will break your heart. But she had to go through that to be able to be where she is today. So definitely, hopefully she'll come on live here in a bit. Like I said, she's doing an investigation, so we'll see. She's gonna try to come on pretty soon, hopefully in the next minute or two. So, but like I said, if you guys want to, hey George, yes, I have hair on my face. It's growing back. My beard's growing back. Hopefully, it'll grow longer pretty soon. So, George, you should hop on here. You should hop on here with me. Tell about your story, brother. So, she's here. She is part of the documentary. You don't want to miss her story. A very amazing person, an amazing friend. And I know she's paranormal investigating right now, but I did bother her a little bit to tell a little bit of her story. I don't want her to go too deep into it because of a lot of it's on the documentary. So here she is. Let's see if we get her.
Can you hear me? Okay?
If this will work. Hey.
Hi. I'm like, I don't know how well you can hear me because you're cutting out a bit on and off on me. So.
I could hear you perfectly.
Awesome. I'm just going to stand in this one spot. Hopefully it'll just stay where it is because it seems like where I go matters what happens here. So.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I had a really long drive today. I had events all weekend. I've got events all next weekend and the weekend after. So
wow,
I'm down to days till I can take a nap.
Man,
how I feel at this point. So
that's crazy. Well, folks, this is Christy, who is part of Through Hell and Back. In part 1, I Will Overcome. You don't want to miss it. June 5th, it will be out. And her story is incredible. It's heartbreaking, and it teared me. Going through the editing process was very hard for me because it was hard to listen to something that was so emotionally. You got to watch it. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Got to watch it. But I'm gonna have Christy just share a little bit of that story. I don't know what part she'll share, but trust me, it's worth it. So we're gonna let Christy take the mic here a little bit and tell her story.
Well, I guess I'll just kind of give a quick overview, I guess, on it, because it is such a long story, and even everything that I gave you is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to it. It just goes on and on. I mean, It's 10 years. It's a 10-year long story. But basically, I was 14 years old when I met the man that I eventually married. I was 15 when we started dating. He was 21. So obviously you can already see an issue there. We did have 4 children together. We were together for 10 years. 3 of those we were married. I was basically forced into getting married when we did. But he was initially my best friend because that's how these things always start. And then he ended up getting into drugs and became abusive. And in the process of I ended up having, the kids. And, I guess one of the biggest things I tell people is the one thing that just kind of drives me crazy is people look at my kids and go, well, you sure were busy. And I'm like, I'm still busy, first of all. But second of all, like, to me, I'm just always like, I know people don't know better, but I'm like, why do people say that to me? They have no idea why I have 4 kids so close together. It's not exactly just that easy. But he got very, very abusive. My mother-in-law was extremely abusive. And people, again, they always say, well, why didn't you leave? And it's like, well, when your life is in danger, if you leave, it's just not that easy. And I didn't really have anybody to turn to, and being so young with kids, it just is not exactly it's not an ideal situation, and most people don't want to touch it with a
Yeah.
30 pole because you know they don't want to get involved. They don't want to deal with it. I can tell you that when I left him, he, after 2 months of having police guarding my door and things like that, he did end up taking his own life. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, I'm not. That was the best thing that could have happened. That saved my life and my children's lives. It gave us a chance at life. It gave us a chance to live life, you know. And so by the time I was 23 years old, I was a widow with 4 children, and that's not it's not an easy path.
No.
Nobody wants to help you either. At that point, people are still like, oh, you know, they look at you like you're some kind of a disease or something, because why are you 23 with 4 kids, you know?
Yeah.
So, but we made it and we're okay. And we're happy. My kids a lot of times are like, I hate life. And I'm like, well, you're 20. We all hate life in our 20s. So it's the way it is.
Man.
So
it's easier the older you get.
It does, especially when you're like, I'm done taking care of y'all, get out. So they've actually all been out on their own for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years now. They're all doing really well, even though they don't agree. For their age, they all have savings accounts. They've bought their own cars. They paid all their own bills. So for the oldest one being 24, I'd say they're doing pretty good. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's it's just amazing. Just like I said, this is nothing compared to the actual story she told, you know, that you will hear soon. But through her hell, she had to go where she's at now. She had to go through hell to be able to be where she's at today, because I don't think, she's a way better person she is now than she was back then, because right now she's doing traveling. Her kids are growing up. They've learned so many great things from just, being raised by you, just living life and being happier, because you are happier now after you went through that tragedy, because you had to go through that, because you learned something so incredibly amazing from that situation. Sometimes you have to go through bad stuff, which sucks, to be able to have an amazing life. You have to learn from that, go through that mistake. We all done it. We've all been there. Everybody has a different story, but now you're like traveling around, paranormal investigating. Your kids, like you said, are out now. Like you said, they're kicked out, living their life, having their own houses, their own cars, paying their own bills. And that's awesome. It's like you came all this way and now you're by yourself doing these amazing things while your kids are doing the same thing. And it's an amazing story and it's beautiful. And that's why, like, stories like this touches other people, because people are going through the same thing that you went through. And that's why I want these stories to come out of from the dark to the light, because maybe there's a chance before they take that step of suicide, where maybe they're like, oh wait, there is more to life. Maybe I have to go through this hell to be able to be where Christy's at. So that's why I'm saying June 5th, Through Hell and Back. You don't want to miss Christy's story. It is intense. It will make you cry. Made me cry like a baby a whole bunch of times.
Not really the purpose, but
no, not the purpose, but it's very inspirational. It will tear you up, like I said, and it will change your life for the better. Trust me, you won't regret it. But thank you so much, Christy. I know, where are you right now?
I can't tell you.
Oh.
I signed a contract. That's all I'm going to say. I cannot tell you, but I promise you will know as soon as I can tell people. Okay. I'm doing something very exciting, which is probably why I'm in such a really good mood right now.
Are you filming?
I will be. Yes.
Oh. That's awesome.
So the building, my building that I own, It's going to air on Portals to Hell on April 3rd. So make sure you guys watch it. I won't be on it, but it's my building, so I'm still going to promote it.
Which building do you own?
The Stevenson building.
The Stevenson.
I know.
Oh, that's awesome.
For one. So, but yeah, y'all can look it up online. It's a pretty cool place.
That's
I'm
awesome.
shaking right now. So yeah. But find out what I'm doing here as soon as I can tell you all. I'll make sure you're the first one to know. How's that?
Awesome. I can't wait to hear all about it.
I can't wait until I can tell everyone all about it. That's the even more fun part. So.
Well, all right, Christy. Well, you have fun and don't get yourself too much in trouble. And have a good night and have fun paranormal investigating.
All right, you too. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, that was Christy. Thank you so much, Christy, for sharing your story. Thank you all for listening. I know it's only been 36 minutes, but our call, if you want to share your story, please click the link on StreamYard. Love to hear it. I'm probably going to stay on for the next few minutes. I might end the show a little early, depending if anybody else wants to share or not. But please, love to hear your story. Thank you for hearing Christy's story. Like I said, Through Hell and Back, June 5th. Don't want to miss her story. It's really awesome. So, hey, Robert. So, well, we hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys are having fun, staying out of trouble, and I hope you guys are living life to the fullest. And because, times are tough, with COVID and everything like that. I know a lot of people have lost their jobs, and a lot of people are just going through a lot of emotional things right now with money and financially. And so, you know what? I got one word for you. Don't give up. Don't give up. Because once you have that mindset of giving up, that's when all those things come into your mind of just negativity. So if I could give you one thing tonight before I head out, just don't give up. And just be happy. Just live your life to the fullest, because life is short. Spend time with your kids. Have fun with them. You know what? Everybody always tells me to save your money for this, save your money for that. But what if that one thing? What if something happens to you tomorrow and you saved all this money, you couldn't even have that one time fun with your family, and it's already too late? You know what? Do something spur of the moment. I always like to take my family on adventures, like spur of the moment, like let's go somewhere fun. If we have to spend money, who cares? You're having fun with your family. Do something cool that your kids are going to remember for the rest of your life. Live life on the edge. Don't do like drugs or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but have fun with your family and your kids, because you only get that chance, to be able to have fun with them, because once they're grown up, they're going to college and having their own family and doing their own things. So, like I said, life is short. Have fun with your family. Always cherish those moments. That's why we always go on ventures, going all over the place. We just went to Tennessee, had a blast up in the mountains, got to see a little snow. So, just have fun. Just have fun. Like Robert says, I'm saving all this money for what? I have everything I need, Amen to that, brother. Because, it's your family. That's all you need, That's all, brother. Thank you so much for that. But anyways, guys, I'm about to head off here. Thank you so much for listening on Animal Paranormal Live. I know this was a different show tonight, and I know we usually talk about all things paranormal, but tonight is different, you know. I wanted people to be able to share their stories, and I'm actually happy that Christy came on also. She's part of the documentary. And also, thank you so much for everybody who listened. Your stories are amazing. I love you guys. And you guys have an amazing night tonight. Be blessed. Peace.